What's up, everybody? Early Stoppage MMA here. Today we're going to be doing a UFC 323 card builder for this December. This is going to be the final UFC pay-per-view, at least for the foreseeable future. So this is the end of their distribution rights deal with ESPN. It's kind of the end of an era, so to speak. And I believe that in the words, borrowing from the words of T.S. Eliot in his poem The Hollowed Man, that they're going to go out not with a bang, but with a whimper. That was pretty crazy, wasn't it?
That was a pull.
That was a pull. Thank you.
That's good. That was good. I like that.
So yeah, jumping right into this, we'll just kick it off. First fight of the night, I could see being something along the lines of like Chris Curtis versus Li Jingliang. This seems possible. You know, with Chris Curtis just outside the rankings now at 170, that he's dropped down to welterweight. Li Jingliang coming off of his long break after being knocked out brutally by Carlos Prates. It just kind of makes sense. I could see this.
No, I think this is one of those fights where if it did end up on a pay per view, we're gonna be like, I'm not paying for that. Not that we pay for it anyway, I guess. But the, like
Allegedly.
I don't. Yeah, supposedly. I don't. My mom pays for it, not me. Chris Curtis, Li Jingliang. This is a fun fight. If this was on the prelims, it would be cool. But I do agree with you that I think that the December pay per view is going to be very weak, and then I think we're going to pick it up strong in January. In my opinion,
that Paramount debut, they're
yeah,
probably going to
I think
devote their stuff to that.
I think it's likely. I do think that there's going to be some fun fights on this card, and I think that this is a fun fight. I just think that there's not really implications with this, like whoever wins, whatever. But
yeah,
it's really just it's a fight.
This is one of those fights like you see it on one of the weaker pay per views, and you're like, okay, that's a decent fight. It's like I'm not necessarily mad or anything, but it's like, why is this on the main card?
Yeah, no, I agree.
So yeah, I could see this, a fun scrap between these two. It'd be a fun little striking match, I think. I'd probably favor like Chris Curtis to just use his boxing, and I don't know if he would knock Li Jingliang out necessarily, but I do think it would probably be a pretty fun war, scrappy, two vets going at it kind of a situation.
Yeah. Well, we got to see how the chin holds up too after
That
what Prates did to Leeds.
That is true. He may have turned that brain into soup. So who knows? Moving on. Can't have a weak pay per view without WMMA.
That's so true.
Hurts me to say. This fight just seems possible and frankly inevitable, and it seems like something that they'll try to push because you've got Irene Aldana, who's coming off of two impressive performances, but ones where she ultimately did lose, and like got cut up and overall had pretty entertaining fights that people enjoyed. And then you have Eileen Perez, who is the twerking girl in the UFC. So
that's
you
so
do the
crazy
math on this one,
to, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no one would care about this fight on the prelims or pay per view, so it's really just a filler slot.
Yeah.
This should really show where our heads at and where I think a lot of fans' heads are at about how this pay per view card is going to look in December. I feel like usually pay per view cards in December are not very great in general.
Yeah, it's usually like they don't start out very strong, but they end quite well.
Yeah.
So I think, unfortunately, I think we're gonna get something like this. Not the worst fight ever either, because Aldana is fun. Honestly, like when Aldana fights, it's usually bloody as hell for some reason. It's like, okay, I'm into this. So no hate.
No, that's for sure. I think that this has name value, and it like in the world of WMMA, like there are worse fights than this for sure.
100%.
So it has like Aldana fought for the belt at one point. Perez is on her way there, maybe twerking her way up the rankings.
Twerking her way up the rankings. Oh, that's great.
So no, this is no one cares really. Yeah. Let's be honest, no one's gonna care about this fight. No. I think our next couple fights though are realistic and possible and fun.
What few pay-per-view buys there are left to get, these next fights are the draw that are bringing people in. I think we could see Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira in sort of a number one contenders fight on this card. It seemed
I would
pretty
agree.
obvious that they wanted Moreno to be the next guy for the belt. The last time Pantoja fought, but that went out the window as soon as Joshua Van had the one of the best fights we've ever seen against Brandon Royval. So now I think Brandon Moreno's in a position where he has to fight another contender to solidify that number one contender spot.
Yeah, I think it's undoubtable that Joshua Van versus Pantoja will happen very soon. But I honestly I think this is gonna be fun. And what I like about this fight too is that we're getting Tyra in front of a crowd. This dude fights at like fight nights. Like I don't know if he's ever even fought on a pay per view.
Yeah,
And
that's so
I
interesting. That's so true.
yeah, I think that every time I see Tyra, it's like in the apex.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this would be a really fun fight. I'm curious to see how well Tyra's striking holds up. It looked okay in his last fight against Park, but you got to look good against like Moreno looked really good in his last fight.
Yeah, I did.
Really, like that was a new level of Moreno. So I'm really curious. He's gonna have to, Tyra will have to move his head if this does happen. But
I have to move his
no,
head. Yeah,
dude, that was upsetting whenever he just
yeah,
got beat up by Roy Ball. But
yeah.
no, so I think this is super possible and an entertaining fight that would draw some people in. You got the former champion Moreno,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still like not a huge draw because it's just one of the lighter weight classes.
Yeah, and it's an interesting fight. Is for the sort of hardcores or those in the know. Like it's a new matchup for Moreno, which is something that it feels like we don't get super often, and um,
Yeah,
it's an exciting fight to build Tyra, who's looked really good. So
for
I
sure.
don't think anyone would complain about this one. Definitely not like a pay per view draw necessarily, but something that the casuals would get into, and has the potential to be a pretty exciting fight, all things
Yeah.
considered.
And honestly, the winner of this would be next in line for the title
Oh yeah,
after
no doubt.
whatever happens with Van and Pantoja.
Yep, completely agree. So yeah, moving on to the co-main event of the evening: Sean Brady versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Would you have anything to say about this? Do you have opinions, feelings, thoughts?
Do I have opinions? So
Yeah.
going into this card in December, we'll have seen, obviously we haven't seen it yet, but we have JDM versus Islam. So somebody will have that belt after that, obviously.
Yep.
And he's going to need someone to fight. And these are the two guys that everyone talks about. It's either Sean Brady or Shavkat. And I think that with Islam coming up to 70, it's the perfect time to just kind of slow down. We don't need to give anybody a shot that maybe, one person would say doesn't deserve, and just have these guys fight each other. I think that's the perfect thing to do. And I think that's what they should
Yep.
do in all these circumstances,
Yes.
right? Like I think that as fans, whenever we get these fights of like random people for the title, we're like, why? Like he should be fighting. Just let it, like, we're not going to be that upset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just, if for the title, it should make sense.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think that this will clearly put somebody into the number one contender slot and really solidify them for after that fight to either fight Islam or JDM.
I agree.
And I honestly I think that both of these guys against either JDM or Islam would be a super fun fight.
Yeah.
So it's like any way that you mix match this, if Islam, Brady, or however you go about this, I think that this is going to be an incredible fight for whatever this fight itself and whatever's next for the belt.
Yeah. The division, Shavkat was promised a title shot. Everyone wanted him to have a title shot. He was booked in a title shot, but the division has changed so much in just the last year that it's done. It's over. Like
Yeah.
it's no longer he's no longer in a spot where he deserves a title shot over some of these other people. Sean Brady is the clear next contender, and the only way I think to make this sort of fair, quote unquote, is to just book this fight and just figure out who is truly the number one contender.
100%.
I think that it'll be interesting too. I think this should be a 5-round fight, just because it seems like the kind of fight to make 5 rounds. to really just determine who it is, who's the guy. Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
I think that's the move for the co-main for sure. We can finally sort this shit out because it's been a lingering issue and question for so long at this point. So yeah, moving on to the main event of the evening.
Main event.
Pantoja versus Van. This is written in the stars at
Yeah.
this point, right?
Yeah. No, we've all talked about it. We've been hitting at it all video. I think at this. This is the perfect fight for this. I mean, we usually don't get flyweight headliners,
Yeah.
and I think this is like timing wise, it all works out. They both had enough time off.
Yep.
And Van said that he would need some time, to get ready for Pantoja, which I think is very smart to not just rush in and fight Pantoja on a month's notice or whatever. Van is moving super quickly. I think this is a super fun fight. I think that like it's the perfect for the occasion of being the last ESPN pay-per-view and like just us expecting it to go out weak. I think this is the perfect card or perfect spot for this fight.
Yeah. It just makes sense. I mean, and Pantoja always fights every December. That's like his thing. He likes fighting in December. It's on his sort of timeline and his schedule. Joshua Van said this is when he wanted to do the fight, and he has said so in sort of recent months. All the pay-per-views are booked out to this point. It'll have been a long time since Pantoja fought. It makes sense, I think, to put this fight here. Pantoja has enough name value that maybe he'll bring in some pay-per-view buys, and Joshua Van's very exciting. His fight with Pantoja was one of the best fights of this year of all time, as we said earlier. Yeah, if you're gonna sell a pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view, and you're not super worried about what that total is gonna come out looking like, because you're way more invested in the next month's event that's gonna be way bigger and more impactful. This is the fight that you throw here. It's a solid main event. It's a quality main event, but it's certainly nothing mind blowing, I guess, overall for a card.
No, I'd agree with that. And I think, honestly, I just wanted to say, too, that I think Pantoja is so, like, just underrated.
100%.
Underappreciated, I
Yes.
should say.
Yes.
Underappreciated for sure.
Entertaining.
To the point where we even spelled his name wrong, which is...
Oh, no. Oh, well. You guys get the idea.
It is what it is. But no. I think that this is the perfect spot for this. And I believe it's been over a month now for sure that Joshua Van said he signed a contract already. Like he said he signed something. And I could only imagine the run that he's on and where he's at in the position now.
Yeah.
That it has to be Pantoja. And the timeline would work out perfectly for them to announce it. Honestly, here in the next couple of weeks or like next week or two.
Yeah.
By the time we get to UFC 321.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that this is inevitable. And it's got to be December. There's no way it's not. You're so right. Whenever you talk about Pantoja, always fights in December. That's kind of his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And no, this is. I think, like you said, this is written in the stars.
Yeah, and it'll be a great fight. I'm so excited for it. There's so much intrigue here. Joshua Van has looked so good. His counter wrestling is great. His striking is great. His cardio is insane. And Pantoja's been so dominant and so impressive with his fights and his belt. He looks fucking unstoppable, even though he's an older guy. It doesn't look like he's slowing down. It's going to be a very intriguing, interesting fight. There's a lot of fun to be had with this matchup.
Yeah. No, I am curious to see how this fight's going to go because I'll be honest with you, man. I think Pantoja's the most underappreciated fighter that we've ever had, to be honest with you.
He's got to be up there. Kind of
crazy.
I think people are coming around, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, I think this guy's easily top 10 all time, in my opinion. Like, I think that if you really look at it and just the performance total of everything, it's kind of undeniable at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so Joshua Van's this young dude. Like, Joshua Van's so young and so good that I'm very curious to see what he does with Pantoja. And it's a crazy step up. Crazy step up for Van.
Yeah. I mean, it's win-win. If Van goes out there and has a good performance and just has a traditional, exciting-ass Joshua Van performance, even if he loses, his stock will rise.
Oh, for sure. Well, yeah, dude, he's so young that it doesn't really matter what happens in this fight. Just the fact that he's at this point in his career this young
Yeah.
is all that we need from him.
Truly.
He'll be back regardless of what happens, whether he wins the belt or not. Like he'll be around for a very long time.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I think that about covers it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Leave your picks for this card down in the comments below. Let us know who you think is going to be on this card. Do you think it's actually going to be a better card, a stronger card to close out the pay-per-view era of the UFC? Or, like us, do you think they're kind of holding back their resources for the Paramount debut the next month? Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Well, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.